Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Tony Talks and Get Up and Grow. I am your host, Tony Rodriguez. This is a show where I typically have conversations with inspirational leaders, influencers, and change makers, people that aren't just doing well in life, but that are doing good in the world. Today, I'm taking it a little bit off script, so to speak, and I'm going to do this show on my own and leave it as kind of an open mic situation. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them of any of the guests that I've had along the way. This is show number 111. So show 111, I decided to just do an open mic. And if anybody's got any great questions, I can even have you pop on briefly as a guest. So yeah, it just want to have a conversation with you guys on what's going on with the world, what's going on with different things, and just leave this as an open discussion and see if anybody wants to jump in and engage. So I've been doing these shows now for probably a year, with obviously a lot more frequency over the last 2 to 3 months. And I've had the opportunity to meet and speak to a lot of great people. I'll meet. Most of them have been my friends, and there's several others that are coming, and I'm excited for. And just wanted to share some thoughts, and obviously share some of my own thoughts along the way. So today, one of the things that I want to talk about is that concept of falling. And I brought this up briefly in one of my daily talks that I also have committed to doing 366 days of live video. So on one of those live videos, I did have this conversation, but I wanted to bring it on here so that maybe it's exposed to more people. And this is certainly a platform that you guys can ask questions, and I'm not just trying to because sometimes when I'm having those conversations and I'm delivering that content, I'm trying to stay within 5 or 7 minutes, and I'm just not even looking at my phone at the comments. So this is an opportunity for us to have that conversation at a bit of a deeper level. This morning, the post that I made was that sometimes you fall down because there is something there. There's something down there that you're supposed to find. And I really believe that. I believe that every time we fall, I mean, you've heard me say this at the top of every show, that every time you fall, you have an opportunity to get up and grow, right? And I say that because it's true. Because every mistake that we make, every fall that we take, every misstep is an opportunity for us to learn and to grow and to do better. So I think that, certainly in today's society, without going into everything that's happening today, unless somebody wants to come on and have that conversation, I'd welcome it. We've fallen, right? We continue to fall. And it's important, in society, in today's society, as well as in life. And this is where I'm going to share the thought, the idea, the parable, if you will, of the anatomy of a fall, and how sometimes there's something down there that you're supposed to find. We all fall. Falling down is part of life. Falling down is part of growth. Falling down is part of growing up. Making mistakes is part of part of growing up. That's all part of it. Regardless of whether we want to fall or not, the reality, it's all part of life as an individual, as a business, in a relationship, whatever it is. The mistakes that we make, the missteps, the falling down, it's all part of it. It's part of the growth, right? And what we need to do is we need to learn from those mistakes so that we won't commit them again. Because if we commit them again, as the saying goes, if you make a mistake, you make a mistake a second time, you should have known better. If you make that mistake a third time, it's a choice, right? It's a choice. And so a lot of the things that keep repeating in our lives, we're choosing to repeat those things in our lives, regardless of what it is. And many times we they're happening in our lives. And I say we choose because we've chosen not to change, right? So many times something happens in our life. How many times have you heard, man, this stuff always happens to me. This stuff keeps happening to me. Well, arguably, it's because you didn't learn the lesson. Because when you learn the lesson, when you learn what caused the fall, it makes the fall preventable. More often than not, it makes it preventable. Sometimes it may not be preventable, which is why you fall a second time. But nonetheless, we tend to still make those mistakes. But many times when those mistakes happen over and over again, it's a choice because we've chosen not to grow through what we've gone through, or there's something that's preventing us from doing that. So the scotoma, right, or that blind spot is what you need to uncover, what you need to learn so that you can grow through it. And one of the ways that I like to tell my clients about, which again, I don't talk about it a lot here, which I probably should. I am a life and business strategist, right? I am also a trainer with Tony Robbins. I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years. I've had multiple businesses. I've had owned and managed my own real estate portfolio. I've made good deals, bad deals, great deals, terrible deals. There have been things that have happened, partnerships that didn't work out, betrayals, different things that happen in life that continue to force me to grow, even despite my not wanting to, right? Sometimes we need to grow. So one of the things that I like to talk about is the anatomy of a fall. I say when you fall, most of us just get up and wipe ourselves off and keep running. And that's okay, depending on the size of the fall. But what we need to do is we need to really analyze, study that fall. We need to be curious. We need to be like a detective. We need to be like Sherlock Holmes or, forensic pathologist. We need to go and analyze that fall. Go back and replay it. When you fall or something's happening, you have a car accident. Unfortunately, I've had more than one. Or when you're falling, it feels like it lasts a long time, right? Like you're going through this accident. It happened so fast, but when it was happening, it felt like it was in slow motion. And our mind is a supercomputer. We capture every bit of information that is around. Like right now, I'm not paying attention, but there's probably 3 different birds chirping right now. You can probably hear one, but there's 3 different birds chirping. A dragonfly just went by. I kind of heard that. Something else going on in the back. There's a couple of chickens walking around back there. There's other stuff flying around. And while I'm not paying attention to it, unless I put attention to it, my mind is capturing all of it. So, or in my mind, your mind, all of our minds are capturing it. So I encourage everyone to, when you make a mistake or when you take a fall, certainly when you have a big fall, a bad fall, something that is impactful, that hurts you, hurts your company, hurts your family, hurts society, kind of like what's happening now. We need to get curious as to why. What happened? What's happening? Why did it happen? How did it happen? So I'll encourage you to just go on this, this little journey, so to speak, with me. So let's say that you fall down. When you fall down, you've got to ask yourself, what caused you to fall? Were you pushed? Did you trip? Was there a hole? Were you tricked into it? Did you trip on something behind you? Meaning, had you already been down that road and tripped on the same stick that you knew was there? So in other words, did you make a choice? Was this a conscious, subconscious kind of conscious fall? Did you know, because a lot of times we fall, we know, damn it, here it is again. I'm falling because I tripped on that again. And sometimes the tripping on the things behind us are the stories in the past that are keeping us from growing to where we want to grow. So that's when I refer to tripping on something behind you. It's on tripping on something in your past that's keeping you from becoming the best version of you and stepping into the who you need to be for your future. Hey, Sonia. Hey, Natalie. Good to see you guys. Hey, if any of you guys want to jump on as a guest, I can certainly drop the link and invite you guys on. This is an open mic. that I'm doing. So if you want to jump on and say hello and share some thoughts, you're welcome to do it. I'll just drop the link in here. I can only hold 6 people in the room at once, so we'll see how that goes moving forward. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to drop the link. I've never done this, by the way. So let's see. Let's see if anybody wants to jump on. This might be a fun way of doing this today. So there you go. That's the link if you want to jump on. Pretty easy. Pretty easy to jump on. So whether you're tripping on something, going back, so whether you've tripped on something behind you, something in your past, or again, maybe you were tricked into tripping, you were tricked into falling, or maybe you were pushed, maybe you slipped. And if you slipped, what did you slip on? Was it something that was put there, placed there? Or it was just an accident? Because it could also have just been an accident. But not all things are accidents. And yes, that big black thing walking back there. Wait, back there. That's not a chicken. That's a potbelly pig. Whole nother story. So, and when you tripped, and when you were on your way down, and you're falling, who was there to try to help? What did anybody try to help? Did they lend a hand? Did anybody try to save you or keep you from falling? When you fell, was there someone down there to help cushion your blow, to cushion your fall? Was there someone down there that was helping you get up? Was there something down there that you were supposed to find? Because like I said, many times you fall down because there's something there that you're supposed to find. And sometimes that something you're supposed to find is yourself. Sometimes it's to find your own humility. Sometimes it's to find your own humanity. Sometimes it's just to find yourself. Because sometimes we're just running so fast that we forget what's important. Sometimes we're going so hard that you stop paying attention, you stop realizing what's important. So sometimes the thing you're supposed to find is yourself. So while you're down there, now you're down there, how long was it before you stood up? And was there somebody, like I said, that helped you get up? Now you're still in the hole. Mind you, you fell into a hole. You're still in the hole, but was there someone there that helped you up? What did you learn while you were down there? How long did you stay before you got up? The people that were there supporting you and cheering you on along the way, that were sitting at your table, eating your food and drinking your wine, were they trying to help you up? Are they concerned about you? Did they ask you if you were okay? Did they say, hey, do you need something? Can I help you out? You need a rope? You need a jacket? You need some water? Or did they disappear? Because unfortunately, in life, there happen to be, we have family, we have friends, and then we have fair weather friends. And sometimes those fair weather friends are some of the people that were closest to you. Remember, my friends, that not everyone that starts off life with you is going to finish life with you. Not everybody that's on the train with you is getting off at the same stop. They may not all be going to the end of the line. Some are getting off at the next station. You think they're there with you for the ride, but they're not. So now you're down in the hole and you're trying to climb back up. Now, when you start to climb back up, is there someone there that's helping you up? Did somebody drop a rope to try to pull you up? Was there somebody cheering you on? Oh, and by the way, when you fell, who was laughing at you? Because inevitably there's always somebody laughing. So you see, I knew you were going to fail. Look at you. You thought you were better than everybody else. Look at you now. You deserve what you got. Because that's what we get. And sometimes we get that from family. Sometimes we get that from the people that are closest to us. But you've got to remember all that. Because so many times we forget. We just get up and go. But it's important to remember. So when you're getting back up and you're climbing up, is somebody still is somebody laughing at you, telling what you think you're going to get out of that hole? Somebody's trying to step on your toes. Somebody's laughing at you because you fell again. Who was there encouraging you to get up? Who was there supporting you? Who was cheering you on? And then when you finally climb back up and you're starting to do well in life again. And things are starting to come back to normal, and hopefully better than normal, because your life is coming back. What you want is happening again. How many of the people that left your table are now coming back, wanting to sit at your table again? How many people not coming back? Oh, I knew you could do it. You had this. I knew it all along, man. I knew you can. Yeah, you're. Of course, it's you. Of course, you're going to bounce back. And then what do? Do you decide to let them sit at your table again? Or do you make a decision to let somebody else come and sit at your table? Do you make a decision to do what you need to do for you? Do you remember what happened? Do you remember the fall? So studying the anatomy of a fall is very important, because if you don't, you're destined to fall in that hole again. And sometimes at the hand of the same person that pushed you in the first place. Remember, I say it all the time that, and I said it again today. I was on a Platt Zoom call with a bunch of Platinum partners, and Joseph McClendon was on, Steve Master Co. Allison Armstrong. There's a bunch of great people that were on there. And I typed it in the chat box again. I said, listen, we've got to remember that we've got to love. It's important to love others, really important to love those who love us. Super important. It's important for us to love ourselves and have love and respect for ourselves, because the more we love ourselves, the more we can accept love and give love to other people. And then it's important to love your fellow man. And here's the hard part. The hard part is to send love and give love to those who seemingly least deserve it. Because those are the ones that need it the most. The people that disagree with us, the people that are trying to, at some cases, do us harm, in some points do us harm. And it's contrary to what we want to do. It's contrary to what I want to do. Somebody's, certainly I don't do that if I'm in the middle of a conflict. It's not happening at that very moment, because I've got to be responsible and protect myself, protect my family, and those that I love. But at some point, you've got to forgive and love those who don't love you, that would want to see you fail. But that doesn't mean you invite them into your house. That doesn't mean you let them sit at your table again. That doesn't mean that you let them back into your inner circle. Because so many times we make that mistake, my friends. So many times we make that mistake. Hey, Katie. Hey, Danielle. Let's just put a couple of these up here. Yes, thank you. The hat. Yes, mentors and masterminds. Or rather, I guess, that's what mentors. It's not mentors and masterminds, but we'll call it that for now. And Danielle says, eventually you have to make that decision. Absolutely. By the way, I put a link in the comments, Katie, if you want to jump on, because this is open mic. I decided, okay, not you. Told you I had a Potbelly Pig. I'm saying you can come on as a guest. He wants to come on as a guest. All right. Fine. You want to get on camera? There you go. Yeah. Okay. That was his moment on camera. Yes, I do have a Potbelly Pig, bunch of chickens, couple of dogs, couple of cats, some bees. Okay. Beat it. Go. And yes, they just run around. So if anybody wants to jump on, click that link here. I'll post it in here again. Click the link and just follow the prompts. It's really, really easy. If you want to just jump on for a minute, I just posted it again. And if you want to just add to this conversation, you want to continue and share some thoughts on something else. Again, I decided to do an open mic because I've not done this before. And I just wanted to come on for myself on my own. For once, even though I come to you all the time on a regular basis, I wanted to do this today like this. So yes, decisions. We've got to make decisions as to who we're going to have in our life, who we're not going to have in our life, who we're going to let back in after our falls. And again, we all fall, like I said, and everybody makes mistakes. So forgive yourself, let that go. And to bring it to today's to today's show, talking about mistakes. Hold on, just give me a second here. Sorry, just had to call one of my kids to go get the dog who is incessantly barking, probably at the chickens. He's a puppy. That happens. Um, so what happens, and I encourage everybody to do this, and we all must do this. It's not just that we should do this; we all have to do this. As a society, we have to do this. Hey, Mary Lynn, good to see you. Anybody want to jump on? Click that link, or maybe I don't know if it's a clickable link on Facebook, but you can follow that in, and you can come on the show and be my co-host today or my guest. Yeah, sometimes forgiving yourself, absolutely. Forgiving yourself is the hardest, and I can do a bit on forgiveness as well, because you have to forgive yourself, and I'll come to that in a minute. So, but as a society right now, we need to do the same thing on these things that are happening. Um, Certainly, what's happening now with this tragedy that continues to happen. I don't know if I should call it a tragedy or a travesty of justice or what the heck I should call it. We need to learn from these mistakes. That we've been down this road before, more times than any of us want to think about or any of us want to talk about. But we've been down this road before. We need to implement change, lasting change, meaningful change, and not turn our backs, not turn the other cheek, not just keep going to the same old thing. Oscar, I think, you know what, hold on a second. I saw this is a great post that I talked about yesterday, and I'm going to talk about it again today because it was so amazing. It was Ernest Hemingway, and I'm going to add a little bit because I don't want to have to look for it right now. Follow through. For once, follow through. Keep going. The fight is on, right? The protests are on. Let's keep going until we see real change. And real change, again, really looks like, I believe, real change looks like by one of the ways. Right? Never mind. Listen, it's education. First and foremost, it's education. It's educating our children to have emotional intelligence. It's educating our children to have respect, self-respect. But it's also about holding our leaders to higher standards. Our politicians need to be held to a higher standard. They can't do one thing and expect someone else to do the other. The reason that there's so much corruption in some cities, so much crime in some cities, is because the leadership is corrupt. Yeah, I said it. There's corruption, obviously. Few talk about it, but the reality is there's corruption. In every city that is struggling right now, there's corruption. So you can't expect the people that you're leading to not follow your example. You've got to lead by example. You've got to be, to quote Gandhi, you've got to be the change you want to see in the world. If you want to have upstanding citizens in your neighborhood, then you've got to be an upstanding leader, right? Now, I'm not saying that everybody that's in one place or another is bad, but I'm saying that there's enough of that. I think that aside from being held to a higher standard, there needs to be swift action when someone in authority acts out of line, whether it be a politician, whether it be a policeman. The policeman, someone who is carrying a gun, has the legal authority to detain you and to take away your freedom for a undetermined amount of time, or maybe a short amount of time. But they have the ability to inhibit your movement and detain you and take your freedom from you. And how do you know that he's not having a bad day? Listen, these guys are listen, first of all, and I'll say this in defense of police officers. Because again, I'm going to say it again, I have dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of friends that are police officers. I want to say hundreds, but I don't want to be called on it. But dozens, close to 100, if not well over 100, maybe 2 or 3, 400. I don't even know. A lot of friends that are police officers that I consider friends, never mind the ones that I know. And they're not robots. They're human beings. And if they're working in inner cities, they're having to deal with a lot of crime. They're having to deal with a lot of the criminal element. So it's inevitable that they get leathered, right? That they get desensitized to a lot of things. So I understand that. I understand that they're seeing bad things over and over again. I understand that if they're, if they're assigned to a rough neighborhood, that they're dealing with some of the worst things that you can think about, from domestic violence to rapes and murders and overdoses and children getting killed and overdosing kids, and just about as bad as it gets. I get it. So they're human. So there's that element of the PTSD that comes with it that desensitizes their humanity in some cases. So maybe one of the things to do is you don't leave someone in that environment for very long, and you swap cops around. Maybe they're not a police officer just in that town. Maybe you move them around so that somebody doesn't get desensitized. Maybe it's so I understand where they can get desensitized to that. But I also understand that they need to be held to a higher standard. That they, if somebody has so many violations against them or complaints against them, somebody needs to pay attention. I understand that, the thin blue line and police officers stand behind each other no matter what. Well, the no matter what needs to change a little bit. It needs to change that if somebody's doing something wrong, the reality of it is every good cop knows who the bad cop is. Every good cop knows who the bad cop is. So maybe that needs to change. Maybe, if we support the good ones, as we have been, and it's just, again, it's so unfortunate this has happened in this time when these guys are out there putting their lives on the line for us. It's unfortunate because there's a lot of good men out there and women. There's a lot of good men and women in uniform out there doing what's right, doing what's good, dealing with the kind of stuff in society that we don't want to be dealing with, that we'd rather not deal with. But it's a tough conversation. This is a tough conversation. It's uncomfortable. I know that there's going to be a lot of people that don't agree with me. I wouldn't doubt if I just lost 10 or 20 or 30 Facebook friends. If I did, you weren't really friends anyway. But this is a tough conversation. And as I had the conversation with my buddy yesterday, Isaac Day, it's the tough conversations that need to be had. It's these conversations that, when they're not had, lead to the problems that we're facing now. We all need to take responsibility for what's happening in society. Whether you're turning your cheek and not refusing to see what's in front of you, whether you're condoning it, whether you're supporting racist behavior and hate and spreading hate, whether or whether you're one of the ones perpetrating the crime, or whether you're one of the bad people. And hopefully you're not, but listen, who knows? The reality of it is we're all human. We've all made mistakes. We've all made bad judgments. And I just hope that we grow from our mistakes, that we learn from our mistakes, that we learn from our falls. As I'm saying this, I went from like 8 viewers to 3. Exactly my point. And I know that it's not a popular conversation, but it's a conversation that, we all have to have the courage to have. I had a conversation with my kids again today. They were having the service for George Floyd. And yeah, there's all kinds of stories that, what he's done in the past. What's in the past is in the past. It doesn't matter what actually happened. As much as it matters who he was in the past, in this particular case, it doesn't matter because of what happened and how it went down. He could have been all of those things. And if he had a gunfight, or if he was threatening a life or something else, and that happened, in a different way, it happened. It happens every day. But how it happened is the problem. So we need to stand up. So the service was on, and they did the 8 minutes and 47 seconds of silence, and we all stood up and we observed those 8 minutes and 47 seconds. And I had the conversation to go with my kids and said that should never have happened. It's a tragedy. It's something that should not be happening in today's society, and that we all have to respect each other. So I'm having the conversation with my kids, and I'm having the conversation with as many people as possible. Like I said, I grew up in the inner city. I was jumped a couple of times as a kid. You know what? I grew through that. And we all have to grow. We all have to evolve and grow through what we go through. We got to grow through the pain. Otherwise, not to make yet another quote, but if you don't heal what cuts you, you're going to bleed on people if you don't heal what hurts you, you're going to bleed on people that didn't cut you. And this is what's happening. The rioters, the looters are bleeding on people that didn't cut them. That's what's happening. So we just need healing. We need forgiving. We need to forgive. We need to forgive people so that there's less hate. Martin Luther King, I believe, is the one that said, "You cannot drive out darkness with darkness. You must add light." You can't drive out hate with hate. It's got to be love. Now, at times, arguably, obviously, there's wars, right? So that's hate on hate, arguably. Sometimes that chasm needs to be created to put in the love. I don't know. I don't know the answer. I'm not. But the reality of it is, only light can take away the darkness, and only love can take away the hate. But you can't just say, I'm going to love on somebody, because you've got to be able to forgive. You've got to be able to let go. Man, there's been a lot of forgiveness that I've had to give out in my life. And there's been situations that I've had to seek forgiveness for, or that I want forgiveness for, because none of us are perfect. We've all made mistakes, and we'll probably continue to make them along the way. But as long as we learn from our mistakes and we grow through what we go through, then the world becomes a better place. And it becomes a better place one person at a time, one life at a time, saving one life, impacting one life, healing one, forgiving one. And the forgiveness, Danielle, really is the hardest part. And forgiving yourself is hardest of all. We need to forgive, because if we don't forgive, we have that, we hold on to that hate. And holding on to hate, there's so many sayings that revolve around that. It's like drinking poison, expecting the other person to die. That's a good one. But the one that I go back to is the one that was, I don't know if it was Buddha or somebody a lot smarter than me, said, hate is like holding on to a piece of coal, waiting for your enemy to come by. I love that one more, because maybe your enemy is never going to come by, and you're holding on to that coal, and the only person you're hurting is yourself. Actually, that's not true. That's not true at all. You're hurting yourself. But because you're hurting yourself and you stay in that pain and you stay in that anger, you're also hurting the people that are closest to you. You're hurting your family because you're an angry man or woman. You're hurting your kids because you're an angry man or woman, and you've got that bitterness and that anger. So even if you can love on them, but if you have that anger inside you, you can't love deeply if you're hanging on to anger in that way. If you have that anger, that venom, you're holding on. Imagine if you're in pain. How many of us, you ask yourself this question, if you're in pain, how much love do you feel for anything? Yeah, we all love our children, but if they're doing something that's annoying us and we're in pain, we have a low tolerance, we have a low threshold. So imagine that anger is pain. That anger is a dagger in your side. You're not the only one that's hurting. You're hurting your family. You're hurting your friends. You're hurting your business. You're hurting a relationship. Arguably, you're hurting humanity because you're not showing up as your best self. So don't be that person holding that coal, waiting to throw it at your enemy, because your enemy may never come by. And what's worse is sometimes your enemy is already inside of you. And sometimes you're holding that, saying that you want to throw it to someone else, but you're holding it as a punishment for yourself because you feel that you don't deserve to be happy. You don't deserve to be loved or whatever it is. And that's where forgiveness comes in. It's so important. Again, forgiveness for others is so important, but forgiveness of yourself is paramount so that you can move on from whatever it is, so that you can not hold on to that hot piece of coal. So you've got to forgive. And the path that I think exists for forgiveness is probably 4 steps. The first step is you've got to forgive the person that hurt you. You've got to forgive the person that hurt you. Next, you've got to forgive the situation, because you know how when something bad happens, you remember the situation, not just the person, you remember the situation. So you've got to forgive the situation. Next, you've got to own the fact, you've got to own your part of that situation. This gets tricky. This gets really tricky. Maybe you were a child. Maybe you were just sitting there, you got hit by a car. Maybe you were attacked physically, sexually, whatever, and it was not your fault. I get it. And I'm sorry for you. And if that happened to everyone who's hurting, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Which we'll get to that in a minute. But own your part in whatever that was. And I say own your part because inevitably you're blaming yourself for the role you had in it anyway. Even if you were the victim, you say to yourself, if only I wasn't there. If only I hadn't gotten up that late, I wouldn't have been on that corner when I had that accident. Or I wouldn't have been in the car when that happened. By the way, I had a massive car accident. So that's one of the things that I used to say to myself. If only I hadn't said that word, that wouldn't have happened. If only, even children that are physically abused. I always ask myself, why? Why me? Why am I not good enough? So I'm asking, and I'm stating that the third piece of forgiveness is you've got to own and accept responsibility for the role you had in wherever that was. And maybe it was just wrong time, wrong place, but you happened to walk there at the wrong time. So just own it for a second for whatever it is. And the reason you have to own it is that you have to own it in order to forgive yourself. And then the next level is forgiving yourself. Forgiving yourself for not knowing what you didn't know. Forgive yourself for not seeing what you didn't see. Forgive yourself for loving blindly. Forgiving yourself for trusting deeply. Forgive yourself for refusing to see what was right in front of you. But sometimes that love in your heart, or that faith in humanity, or that faith in someone else creates that scotoma that doesn't allow you to see exactly what's in front of you. So you've got to forgive yourself for not knowing, for not seeing, for not doing any better. I guess there's a 5th step, and then it's just to accept it and let go. Accept it and let go. Stop holding on to mistakes just because you spent so long making them. Stop holding on to anger because anger is a crutch. But anger is going to keep you from becoming the best version of you. Anger is going to keep you from joy. It's going to keep you from happiness. It's going to keep you from being who you're destined to be. It's going to keep you from being the best version of you. So you've got to forgive. Forgive those who sinned against you, and you've got to forgive who's usually the biggest sinner of all is you. You've got to forgive yourself for the shit that you give yourself. because we are our own worst enemy. Nobody can hurt you like you can hurt you. Nobody can hurt me like I can hurt me. Not corona. Allergies. Right? So accept yourself. Forgive yourself. I hope that helped, Danielle. Because forgiveness of self is the hardest, but it's the most important thing. Because you can forgive your aggressor. You can forgive the situation. Maybe they're in jail. Maybe they're not even on the face of this earth anymore, but you can still be hanging out to the pain. You can still be hanging out to the anger. That anger isn't serving you. That person you're angry about is long gone, or the person you're angry about. Sometimes, here's the crazy part. Sometimes the person that you're most angry about, that you think hurt you so bad, doesn't even know they hurt you. They don't even know they hurt you. You ever have that, get mad at somebody and you don't talk for a while, and then they say, hey dude, what the hell happened? Oh, you remember that time that you did that? Like, what are you talking about? I wasn't saying that to you. Or, and maybe you completely misunderstood the story and you've missed out on a year of happiness or joy, or you've allowed someone to steal your peace because of this misunderstanding and miscommunication. Sometimes the person that you're the most mad at, you get mad at the guys from Goldman Sachs, from Enron. You're mad at those guys. You hate them. They don't even know who you are. Your hatred is going to do nothing except hurt you. So just let it go. And trust me, like I said, I'm still working on letting go of a few things. I've been through the ringer. I've been hurt. I've been betrayed. I've been robbed. I've lost at times things that money can't buy is time. Time has been taken from me because of one thing or another. You can't get that back. It's our most valuable asset. So don't waste your time hating on others. Don't waste your time being angry at something that you either can't change, won't change, don't have the courage to change. Don't, unless you're willing to listen. By the way, with this current situation, I'm angry. That's why I'm having these talks. Angry is probably a bad word, but yeah, anger word works. But I'm not hating. I'm angry at the system. I'm angry at the people who perpetrated this crime. But I'm not letting it consume me. You can use it to be a tool of change, to try to influence people the other way. Again, I've been a victim. When I was younger, I've been a victim of crime, of assault. I've been lied to, cheated, you name it. But I choose not to live in that state. I choose not to be miserable. I know people that are miserable, that are just mad all the time, or they're angry. They don't even know why they're angry anymore. I don't want to be that person, because when you do that, you actually give your power. You give away your power to that situation, to that person. The person that you're that angry about, that's destroying your peace, that's taking your peace, they win every single time that you're angry, because they're out there living life potentially, not even thinking about you, but they're winning. They're winning because you're suffering and you're making the people around you suffer. Even if they're not suffering, they're definitely not getting the best version of you. As my brother Chuck Hogan says all the time, don't give them the best of you and give your family the rest of you. I've been guilty of that. I came out of a 5-year legal battle with an ex-business partner who did the wrong goddamn thing. So 5 years were taken from me, in a way. I can't get that back, but you know what? I've stopped being angry about it. I spent a lot of time being angry about it. And every time I'd get angry, I'm giving it away. I'm giving away my happiness. you know, that leads me to something else, because one word always leads to another, right? One of the things that, and I think I started talking about this on a prior show. Tony Robbins came into the room maybe 3 years ago, the trainer and senior leader room, and to give us training on something new that he was working on, and it was about living in a beautiful state. Those of you who are Tony Robbins people, certainly Mary Lynn, Sonia, Danielle, Tara, I think all of you guys that are on here at some point or another. I know Barb, perhaps you as well. I don't know who else may be watching. So it's about living in a beautiful state. And he asked a question of us. He says, what's your happiness worth? People are like, oh, it's priceless. It's this, it's, it's worth everything. And about 20 years, Danielle, I've went to my first event as a participant 20 years ago. I've been a trainer now for going on 3 years, and senior leader for a few years before that, crew before that. So, and a participant, before that and along the way and everything else. So he said that, and a bunch of people are answering, but it wasn't really moving me. I mean, my happiness is worth a lot, but it didn't move me. And then he goes on to say, then why do you give it away so cheap? Ooh, I took a script marker, and I wrote on my arm, how cheap is your happiness? Because that resonated. That pissed me off. And that's really the conversation I'm having here. Stop giving away your happiness so goddamn cheap. So I'll tell you another story, or another parable, if you will. We all know that curmudgeon, right? That Scrooge, that person is just miserable all the time. They don't even know why. They're just miserable all the time. They can't, they always have a sourpuss on, and there's just nothing, like somebody crapped in their cereal again today, right? And here's the reality. Most people, and Tony Robbins says this, and then I created a story around it, but most people don't have a bad day. They have a bad minute and milk it all freaking day. That's the reality. I'm having a bad day. No, you're not. What's gone bad? So here's the thing. You can actually have a bad day. Have you ever been in a bad mood and you get to work or whatever you're doing at home and nothing seems to go right? It doesn't matter. You somehow burned the freaking coffee in the automatic coffee maker. How the hell does that happen? Or you caught and then you left the house and you caught the traffic light. And then you started going faster and goddamn, you got pulled over by a cop. Nothing is going. I'm having a terrible day. And that happens. How many times have you had just one of these days that was like you felt like King Midas? Doesn't matter what you did, you could do no wrong. Birds are singing, sun is shining, children are happy, everything's going great. You catch all the green lights on your way to work. You get to work, you get a raise. You're like, holy crap, this is amazing. Or as Joseph McClellan would say, this is amazing, right? Because you're having a good day. Well, what if I told you that you could actually change that, right? Because it's all mindset. So many times we're having a bad day. We're not having a bad day. So I'll say this. Imagine this. Imagine you wake up, you couldn't sleep well, so you woke up late and you're like, oh my God, I'm late. I'm going to be late for work. You go, you trip over the dog. God damn it, the dog. You go, you grab a cup of coffee, you jump in your car, you're taking off out of the driveway. Some guy, keeps going, doesn't let you in. You jolt, there's coffee on your shirt. You get pissed off like, God damn it. Now I'm going to be late. I'm freaking the dog, then coffee on my shirt. God damn it. And you take off and you have a blowout on your car. You have a flat tire. Now a damn blowout, you get to work, you're like, shit, I'm pissed. You get to work late. Your boss comes and says, why the hell are you late again? Well, you don't know what kind of day I'm having. This happened, that happened. Says, listen, you can't be late. You know what? Screw you. Screw me. No, screw you. You're fired. Then you get home and your wife or your husband says, what the hell? What are you doing home already? You have no idea. I'm having such a bad day. This happened, that happened the other day. You know what? I can't believe that's your temper. I can't believe you. You know what? Screw you. Screw me. Screw you. Boom. Here starts a fight that maybe leads to a divorce. And you see how a bad minute could turn into a bad day, could turn into a bad week, could turn into a bad month, could it turn into a bad year, could turn into a bad life. And maybe somebody is stressed out and angry right now and maybe doing some stupid shit. Maybe you're a police officer taking something, frustrations out on somebody. Who knows? Or maybe you're just somebody that's doing something that you're just angry and you don't even know why you're angry. Maybe you're angry because you haven't let that shit go. Maybe you're angry because you gave your happiness away over the fact that your alarm clock went off late. Or you gave away your happiness again when you tripped on the dog, and you gave away your happiness again when you poured coffee on your shirt, and you gave away your happiness again when you got that flat tire, and you gave away your happiness again when you got to work and your boss started giving you shit. And you give away your happiness a minute at a time, 50 minutes at a time, an hour at a time, a week at a time, a month at a time, a year at a time. And then we wonder why we're unhappy. So I'm going to ask you, how cheap is your happiness? Because God damn it, mine is not freaking cheap. It took me a lot of years to get to where I am today. And I just recently went through 5 years of massive pain that I didn't suffer every day. But for the first year or two, it was rough. It was rough because I was giving away my happiness. And when I realized that that was happening, when I realized that, again, so I've said this on another show as well, so you got to go back and watch some of them to get the backstory. It's about letting shit go. It's about not letting the small stuff get to you. And if my wife is listening, she's like, I tell you that all the time. And I'm like, I know. But that doesn't mean you don't get upset. And that's what I tell her. I says, it doesn't mean I don't get upset. It just means I don't stay upset. There's always going to be situations where you're going to get angry at something, that you're going to be pissed off, that you're going to be depressed, you're going to be whatever. And no emotion is bad. Emotions are just indicators. They're feedback from this supercomputer that your soul resides in, from this perfect machine that was given to you. It's just feedback as to something that's going on that needs your attention. So maybe a ritual that you need to change. Maybe it's a ritual you need to start. Maybe it's something you need to stop doing. Maybe it's something you need to start doing. Maybe it's someone you need to walk away from. Maybe it's somebody that you need to bring into your life. Maybe it's something you need to let go of. Maybe it's something you need to pick up. So yeah, how cheap is your happiness? And if you say it's priceless, then stop giving away so cheap. Stop giving away to the talking heads on TV that are just there for sensationalism, to show you the same bad shit over and over again, to make you angry, to manipulate you. I'm not saying that what's happening is right. My God, listen, I'm speaking out as much as I can. And I'm doing whatever I can, and I'm getting involved in doing other things as well. But stop listening. I just read something today that they were talking about. Stop listening to the news all the time. Stop listening. Stop binging on the news. Stop binging. I don't give a damn which channel you're listening to. I don't care if it's Fox News or CNN. Stop binge watching, because they're saying the same shit over and over again. And it's designed. It's sensationalism. They're selling you emotion. They're messing with your emotions. I remember growing up, you wanted to watch the news. It was at 7:30 in the morning or 6:30 in the morning, and again at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and again at 11 o'clock at night, or 10 o'clock, depending on which channel it was on. But you could only get news 3 or 4 times a day. The only all news all the time was 10-10 wins. You couldn't get news all the time, but now it's news all the time because it's ratings. It's sensationalism. They want to prey on your emotions. And it's easier to control someone who's angry than it is to control someone who's happy. It's easier to control someone who's full of hate than it is to control someone who's full of love. That's the reality. So somebody wrote this morning, says, y'all just need to start watching some cartoons or something. Turn that goddamn news off. Turn the news off. Get it once or twice a day so you know it's happening. Go online and read it, but turn it off. Because at least when you're reading it in your own tone, which is dangerous enough depending on the emotion that you're feeling that day. But at least you're not being led by the sheeple on TV that are trying to make you one of the sheeple by making you angry. Don't be one of those people. Don't be one of those people that's walking down the street when you're protesting and look, there's a pallet of bricks. Huh, they must be building a brick house here somewhere. Nope. Not a brick to be seen, but somebody put it there because they're trying to incite shit. Now, I'm not saying that people shouldn't protest. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that we've got to be careful as to how we're allowing our emotions to be manipulated. And if you can go at this protest, go at life, dealing with things with a clear conscience, with forgiveness, and not filled with hate. Because guess what? Hating me for the color of my skin is just as bad as my hating you for the color of yours. And by the way, I guess I'm technically not white anyway, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter either way. Listen, spread hope and faith, not fear. Spread love, not hate. Have these conversations with people. For those of you who have been through the Tony Robbins process and are in personal development or are coaches or whatever it is that you do, we have certain skills and certain tools that others haven't been privy to. Use them. Teach people. Share your knowledge. Share your knowledge. Share what you've learned. We can all make a difference. We can all make an impact. And this, you know what? The impact we can make sometimes is more important to speak to our neighbors, speak to our family, speak to our children. It's more important to do that than it is to go and protest on the street. Not to say that that's not important. But if you're protesting on the street, but you're not having the conversation at home with your parents, with your kids, with your neighbors, then I don't know that you're just being yet another voice, another angry person on the street. I don't know how much that's helping. We have a moral obligation to help each other. And for those of us that have been going through personal development, this is what we've been training for. All of those things that we learn for ourselves, it's time to share that with others. Share those gifts with others. Because we can make an impact. You can be an influencer by influencing one person at a time. Starts with you, starts with your family, starts with your neighbors, starts with your community. Then it goes to your town, into your city, into your state. You yourself marching on the State House might make an impact if there's enough people, maybe. It'll garner some attention, maybe. But if everyone that was there worked on their city block to educate people, to explain to people how they should have compassion, forgiveness, and love, and not hate, and stop holding that goddamn piece of coal in your hand. You've held it long enough. Let go. It's only hurting you and your family and your future. Let go of the damn coal. It's hurting you. It's hurting your family. It's hurting your community. It's hurting all of us. Anyway, my friends, it is at the top of the hour. I can't believe I've been speaking for an hour. I appreciate all of you for watching. If this video resonated with you and you feel compelled to share it with others, feel free to do so. Please do so. Tag people, share it. It's streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. You feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. You can get me on Facebook. On Instagram, I'm Tony Rodriguez with an S, Tony Rodriguez 2.0. And on if you type in Get Up and Grow, the way you see it here, Get Up, the letter N, Grow on YouTube, you'll find me there as well. And remember, my friends, that life is not about how many times you fall, because we're all going to fall and we're going to keep falling. But it's about getting up after every fall. And right now we've fallen. But what we need to do is when we fall, we need to learn. Analyze that fall. And when we get up, my friends, that's when we grow. And every single time we fall, we have the opportunity to get up and grow. And grow we must. As an individual, as a family, as a business, as a society, we need to get up and grow. And then reach back and help somebody else get up and grow as well. Appreciate you all. I love you all. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you.